Welcome to another episode of Homestead Shop Talk podcast with Al from Lumnah Acres and Ben from Hollar Homestead and myself, Jason from Solar Land. And this is episode 55. I think we all just kind of rolled in right now because usually we're talking quite a bit before I hit record. But this time, for some reason, we were just like staring at the screen. I was just rolling in. I had to get a clean or dry shirt because I was wet, not from water, but from sweat.
Yeah, same here. I came in the door, had to like towel off real quick. My shirt was good, but my face is all beaded up with sweat. It is hot and sticky out there today.
Sounds like we got the same hair. It's hot, sticky, and I just got in from doing some evening chores. And it's like, yep, I gotta get cleaned up, dried off, and ready to go.
Yeah, you look tanned out.
It's been pretty nice out lately.
No, I know, but we got some rain though recently, which is a little bit of rain, which is nice.
Yeah, dude. So your text message the other day, you want to talk a little bit about getting that kind of rain in a short amount of time?
So this is the kind of weather we've been having for years. So ever since we actually moved back up here, which was like 2015, we started getting weather like this. So we were actually putting out the pigs on pasture. I checked the weather. It says tomorrow we're getting half-inch of rain. So I'm like, okay, we set the pasture area up for them. Want to make sure like it's not like in like an area that's going to get like a lot of runoff. And then we get everything set up. Like an hour later, I check my phone. It's like, you're getting an inch of rain in 1 hour tomorrow. I'm like, I'm thinking I'm going to keep the pigs in till once the rainstorm's done. So that the next day we woke up. I checked my weather app. Was it raining yet? I think it might have been like just spitting out. And I was looking at the weather. And it was like from 9 a.m. to 10, 1 inch. And when it rained, so I was outside doing chores, and the Highland cattle love the rain. So if it's raining out, they come out in the rain. Like they'll literally, if they're in their barn, they'll come out and they'll stand in the rain. So it was lightly raining. They're out there. I'm doing the meat birds. All of a sudden they go inside. I'm like, it's just lightly raining. What's going on? I wonder if that big rain's coming. And like 5 minutes later, the skies just opened and it dumped inch of rain in an hour.
Wow.
It's hard to keep topsoil on your pastures with that kind of rain.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard trying to start pastures with this rain, and then people's driveways get all washed out, and we got an inch and a half coming. So we're recording this on Monday. So next week I'll let you know. But so this Wednesday they're calling for an inch and a half, and it's probably all going to come all at once again.
All or nothing, yeah.
All or nothing.
That's usually what our Julys look like. It's usually all or nothing. We've been here 5 years, and every July is usually pretty crazy. I didn't know it rained like this anywhere. Like, it'll be hot and like humid, typical what you think the South would be like.
Yep.
And then it just like clear sunny day, and you'll see some thunderheads off on the horizon. And then all of a sudden those thunderheads are right above you, and it's thunder and lightning. It'll drop, I don't know, a quarter to a half an inch, depending on the severity. And then it moves on. And the rest of the day is like 75 degrees, really humid, but cool. And
right.
Like you can do anything you want outside when it's 75 degrees. It's beautiful. Well, it has consistently done that every year. And I've come to really, really enjoy it. Like I look forward to those July thunderstorms. But so far this year, we've only had one. That was yesterday.
So in June, this was before we got the inch. We had 6.5 inches of rain in the month of June, and most of that came in like quick downpours. I'm assuming you guys are too. You're aware of the weather, and like you kind of know when it rains and how much you get. And I think like the average person, they don't really pay attention. I was talking to somebody the other day, like, oh yeah, we didn't get much rain in June. I'm like, we got like 6.5 inches, but it wasn't like steady rain on and off throughout the days. It was like it would downpour, and that's how we got 6.5 inches in 30 days. That's how it seems like we get our weather here. The rain lately, the last, like I said, probably not 8-9 years.
I think
sounds like you took all of our rain for June. We didn't hardly get any rain for June.
No,
I think just last night. I think I got 50 gallons
in your big one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a lot.
My
That's
big
cool.
My
1,000
rain
gallon,
gauge says with last night's storm, we got just under a half an inch.
Okay.
But I mean, the rain gauge is kind of pointless if it's windy at all, because then, like, there's been storms we have where it pours an inch, but it's all coming down at a steep angle, and the rain gauge will have, just a few drops in it. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm watching my topsoil float away and leave. So obviously we got more than, a sprinkling. But yeah, last night it pretty much rained for, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. Nice, steady rain. It was very nice. It was nice to see rain.
Yeah,
it's nice when you get it like that, nice and like a steady, even rain.
Yeah, it makes you not feel so sorry for the pigs.
Right.
Like,
Sorry, pigs.
So why don't you go out this week? What'd you get into?
So we got all the animals out on pasture. So the new Highland cattle, they're in like a pen, the cross ones. So we got them out off of their pen. We have a gate so they can go out. And we're getting them to know our full Highland cattle. And then probably, I don't know, hopefully within the next, sooner than a month, we'll get them up to the new pasture we built. We just want to get everybody kind of settled in and get the new ladies used to us and coming to treats. So one of them, she's the boss. She would come to treats, but she wasn't super friendly. The other one was she'd like come over to the treat, but she wouldn't take it out of your hand. Well, we got all of them coming up when we come outside and taking alfalfa cubes out of our hands. So it's like, okay, it's working. Like it's worth it to keep them in the pen and kind of train them a little bit before you just stick them out in the big pasture.
Are they separate? All separate?
Nope. So the two girls, which are the Highland crosses, they're together. And then the steer we have him over by himself. The goats hang out with him now. So I think the goats think he's either a goat or they think they're cattle now. One or the other. Yeah, we got them out. So we still had our egg laying pullets in with our turkey pullets. We finally got them out on pasture. We got the pigs out on pasture after the big rainstorm, and they love it. It's just so funny seeing them out there in grass, just grazing.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
You didn't lose any turkeys?
We lost one when they were in the brooder. So we still have 9 when we put them outside, and it's been a couple of days now. We've been losing a decent amount. I don't want to say a decent amount, but we've been losing meat birds every once in a while, which I've been surprised. The last couple of years, we haven't lost any once they're out in the chicken tractors. This year, we probably lost 4 or 5 being out in the chicken tractors.
You think it's the heat?
I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, because they seem like all good. Next thing I know, I come in the next morning, go to move the chicken tractor, and there's one dead. So I don't know if it's the heat or what.
I just think every batch is different, I think.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think sometimes it just seems that way. Like a couple of years you'll have good batches, you'll have no issues, and then one year you'll have it where they just kind of. Did you see the breeding process, Jason, when you went there a few years ago?
Yes, but they don't hatch the broiler chickens.
They don't. Okay, that's what I was wondering. That's gonna be kind of like
from another hatchery.
Gotcha.
Which
that's
I believe they all, like, no matter which hatchery you buy, they all kind of come from the same place.
Yep.
From what I understand. The chicken, as far as the Cornish crosses.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of neat to see or learn more about that process, what they keep and how they breed and make that breed every year kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
It's probably like top secret.
It seems like it is, huh?
Right. You can't know that.
Maybe they'll make me wear a hazmat suit to go in there or something.
There you go.
I don't know. Yeah, sign a release form or something like that.
Right. You can come in, but you got to blur everything on video.
You go in there, and it turns out all it is a lab. There's not even any chickens. We're just buying these test tube chickens.
Right. That'd be funny.
I don't know. I can maybe find that out. I don't know.
Right.
That'd be interesting, though.
It would be kind of interesting to find out more about my computer's getting warm. I was trying to elevate it.
Is that your new computer?
No, this is the new computer's at the house. This is my third ago computer, I guess how you'd want to say it.
Not the one that broke.
No, that one's just got shipped out. So I'll get that back in probably a couple of weeks. This one, the fan's just running. It's not like in the warm weather, I don't think.
I don't hear anything.
No, that's good. It's not loud, but you can just faintly hear it.
Yeah.
Running. So we've been mowing. Our grass grew, or our pastures grew excellent this year because we had a kind of a wet spring, and then it warmed. We had a warm, dry spell. It must have been beginning of June. So the pastures grew like really quick, too fast for our cows to keep up when we had them, the dairy cows. So I had to mow some pastures. So I was doing a side-by-side comparison. We got a flail mower that we put behind the TYM. So a flail mower has like little hammers. They're probably like 3 or 4 inches wide. And I'm trying to think, I think there's like 100 and something on the drum. And they're kind of offset, kind of like a planer knife would be. So when it goes around, it basically kind of like chips and grinds up the grass. So when you're all said and done mowing, it's mulched. It looks like chopped hay. It's not like long pieces. So I was using that, and I said, oh, for the heck of it, I'm going to take out the Kubota. We got the regular mowing deck on the Kubota way, but it was mowing the same grass. So it was interesting to see the difference side by side. The Kubota was cutting it, and it was like still 4 feet tall. So just leaving big clumps. Where the flail mower was mulching it and leaving it like you just look like you put like fresh mulched hay over it. So I'm like, this should really help grow the pasture.
Like, why would you use one versus the other? Like,
so I think the flail mower it's going to be more beneficial for growing the pasture, making everything decompose quicker. The reason we got the flail mower at first is it's a ditch bank one. So like we have the tractor, it can go off the back, off to like the side, and then it can angle up and down. So like on the side of the roads, we can get that without having to drive on the side of the road, like off in the ditch. And then we can get around the pond without having to like drive right on the edge of the pond.
Yeah, that's cool.
But now seeing the benefits.
That's the next purchase I'm going to make is a flail mower. I need one of those.
Yep. The only downfall with a flail mower.
I guess I need one too.
You can't mow backwards, or you can't mow backing up.
That's a bummer.
Yep.
Why is that?
Because they're hammers and like they hang. So if they hit a rock, they fold up. So when you're going backwards, they just fold up, and they don't stay cutting. It's going the opposite direction, if that makes sense. So that's another nice thing about having the mower that'll offset, is that way you can, if you're kind of trying to get an area that you'd have to back into, you could have it set off to the side and drive over and reach it from the side kind of thing. But if you have to back into it, you need a regular brush mower.
How tall can you cut with that? Like, what's the highest?
The highest that it'll leave.
Yeah.
2 or 3
it says
feet?
The grass that I was cutting was like up to my chest, so it was over 4 feet high. But the mower I have doesn't have a super adjustment. It says it'll cut it to 4 inches like length, but it cuts it to like 2. So I want to build some feet on it. So that way, if I'm mowing the pasture, I'm not going down to 2 inches, because I'd like to leave like 4 to 6 inch height when I'm mowing the pasture.
That's my problem when I'm using my zero turn. It cuts it way too short.
Way too short. Yeah, that's why I want to get a. There's one that my tractor dealer has, and it's basically the same footprint as my box blade for my tractor. Nice. And so if you lift the thing all the way up, I mean that's a good solid on my tractor, like 2 or 3 feet that the blades would be off the ground. Mainly what I want a flail mower for is, you can improve your pasture by mowing and keeping the clippings on the ground because it's more organic matter. But there's spots where I don't want to mow it with the zero turn because even with the blades all the way up, that's still like 4 inches. I need like 8 or 10 or something, just enough to take the seed heads off and let the rest of the grass get up there. So yeah, that's what I want, is one of those. Eventually I'll get it. And I haven't had like a necessity yet. And then, doing things like cutting your own hay with a scythe, it kind of eliminated the need to mow. So,
right. I will say, for the nasty rain we've been getting, flail mowing and having it mulched on top of the pasture slows the rain down a ton. Because our pasture is pretty decent, but it's not like 100% established yet. So I've noticed that this year, like it's slowing down the rain and making it so it's not washing everything out as bad, which is
good.
nice.
Do they have a pull behind one that you could pull with a vehicle?
Not that I've seen, but I mean, you never know nowadays.
BCS has a flail mower attachment. I mean, if you had a BCS, you might be able to get one of those. My friend Casey, that's what he uses when he's flipping over a bed. He'll go through after he's harvested, and he puts the flail mower down into the first, half inch of soil, and it's basically like mulching everything into that first layer of soil. And so I've thought about doing that. If I, have one of my big beds that I've let go too far and it's too weedy, it'd be kind of cool. Just take the flail mower and just get it to where it's just touching the soil, and then you mulch all the weeds and everything that's growing right into the bed. But I'm trying not to till and do stuff like that. I'm trying to get away from that. But it is so tempting when you have equipment to just use the equipment.
Yep. That reminds me, I wonder if that DR mower that I have, that push mower, that you could change the mower in the front. You could change that out for I think they have like a snow blower. You could attach that almost like a BCS.
Interesting.
I think last time I checked, they didn't have anything like that.
Yeah.
But why couldn't you?
At the very least, there's all sorts of Chinese companies that make attachments for brand name things. You might be able to look around and see if maybe there's someone out there that makes a flail mower attachment for the DR mower. It'd be worth looking into.
Attachments, I can't recall what they have, but I know they have a few different ones. Or somebody should make that besides the BCS.
Into manufacturing, and you're listening. Jason's got on his wish list, so.
I know. We just got to make it up. We got to do our own.
So we picked up a antique, like a 1950s manure spreader 2 weeks ago now. So after I mowed, I ended up hooking up the manure spreader. We put the composted manure in that, and one of the pastures, I spread all the compost over that area. The one that's in the worst condition. Okay, this is the one that needs the fertilizer or the compost the most. So we use that. I'm like, you know what? I've tried the manure spreader with nothing in it. It looks like it works. I'm not going to fill it up the first time because I don't want to put a full load of compost and manure in there and then not have it work and have to shovel it out. So I'm like, I'm going to do one scoop. I did, and it worked good. So I just then I did 2 scoops because I was pulling it with my little Kubota tractor. It's underrated for if you were just on had a flat field, it's fine. But if we have hills and stuff, so you're trying to go up a hill, it bogs it down. And then I was loading it with our TYM. So the TYM is bigger and would pull it just fine. But our little Kubota won't lift high enough to load it. So I had to pull it with the little tractor and load it with the big one.
Hey, it works though, right?
It did. It was slower, but it worked,
You're all good.
Yep.
What'd you put in it?
What's that?
What were you putting in it?
So we had that huge compost pile that we've made from deep bedding the cows and all the animals over the winter. We've been turning and flipping. So we probably had, I'm going to say it was probably almost like not an 18-wheel, like a 10-wheel full dump bed full of compost that we put on the pasture. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, it was a good amount. And we probably 8 or 10 times I filled up the manure spreader. I guess I should have kept track, but I didn't. Probably around 10 times. And they weren't full every time because the first time I did.
Left?
No, we have a new pile we're composting, but we used up all the one from this winter.
Nice.
Makes you go, I need more animals to make more compost.
Yep. Yes, it does. Making compost right now. I've been missing having a cow. I need that manure. It's very, very quick making compost when you have cows.
Yep. That was one of the things I was excited about when we got the cows, because we started out with the dairy goats, and it's like, yeah, their manure is whatever. It breaks down, but it takes a long time to break down. It's really not a green manure. So if you're doing it with like wood chip bedding or anything, it takes a long time to break down. So when we got the cow and we had all the manure from the cow, it's like, oh yeah, this is nice. This will make some good compost. We spread it. I shouldn't say we spread it, most of it in one pasture, and then we had just pulled the cows off of another small area. And I said, you know what? I want to put some on that just to see how that pasture grows. And that's right near the chicken coop and the chicken's free range. I put the compost out, and the chickens just went right over to it. And they're like, we'll help you spread it even more.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like, this is perfect. Chicken spreader. They work for free and give us eggs. I like it.
Manure spreader is one of those things that I've wanted to get for a while, and you talked about it, and so I went and watched that video where you got it. That is a cool antique. Like, it's really cool that it's in such good shape. Like, it's still in working condition.
Yeah,
and it's old. So it's kind of made me rethink. There's a farm store down in South Carolina, about an hour from here. And they sell new ones, and you can get, PTO driven or ground driven. You can get them to where, the controls are in one place or another. Like, they're pretty cool. I have a whole bunch of pictures I took of them, and I got to ask the guy about them. And they have every size. You can pull them behind your lawnmower all the way up to where they're like probably the size of the one you got. And so I've thought about getting just like a mid-range one that I could pull behind, I don't know, the lawnmower or the tractor, somewhere in there. But it's one of those things that's like, I haven't had enough compost available to justify spreading it on the pasture, even though the pasture could definitely use it. The compost needs, when you're making your own compost, there's never enough compost.
So you guys are in horse country. I wonder if you kept an eye on Facebook, if you'd see a lot of those smaller ones come up on Facebook Marketplace. People trying to sell them.
I'll have to look. That's definitely, I don't know. The frustrating thing is people don't do stuff like that. There's a buffalo farm down the highway from us, and they have a mountain of manure out here in this buffalo farm. It's off the freeway. And every time we drive by, it's like, why wouldn't they take all of that buffalo manure?
Right.
Like, I don't know if maybe it's horse manure or something, because the buffalo are out in the field, but they have this mountain of manure, and it's like, why don't you sell it or put it on your fields or something? It's ridiculous.
Where I grew up in Mass, this horse farms now, and it's suburbia. Well, the horse farms, they have a 30-yard dumpster, and they put the manure and bedding in a 30-yard dumpster, and they pay for somebody to haul it off. But then the people who have the dumpsters, they compost it and they sell it. But they're charging the other people to get rid of it. It's like, now that's a good gig to have.
That's a good hustle right there.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, man, why doesn't that farm compost it? Then they could sell it. They don't have a pasture for it, but it's like,
probably no need.
I don't know what they're paying to get rid of it, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
Probably just don't want to do it.
Right.
Deal with it. Get it out of here. Or some of them have free. I've seen places where they have free, and you can just come pick it up.
Yep.
You just gotta pick it up though.
So that's been my week in a nutshell.
Did you guys do anything for the 4th of July? Or were you in bed by 9 o'clock?
Maybe 9:30.
I guess I can segue. That's the first thing on my list. I wrote down 4th of July. So we were kind of joking last podcast. It's like I'm shooting to be done and in bed by 10:30, something like that.
Yep.
Man, we were done with fireworks by 10 o'clock. We were headed home shortly after that. I think my head hit the pillow by 11 o'clock. So did pretty good. I was a little bit later than I was wanting, but I was pretty close. I wasn't too shot out the next day. I was like, man, 5 o'clock's going to come quick. Going to bed, an hour later. I don't know why going to bed an hour later is all of a sudden so much harder to wake up, but it is.
It is.
So, yeah, we went over to Jason's house, and they fed us tacos, and we just hung out and had a good time. Lit off some fireworks. It's fun. It was a fun time. So,
Yeah, it was good,
Jason,
man.
Jason,
You put on a show.
huge thanks for giving us a place to light off some fireworks. Although
No,
we could do it.
fireworks. I mean, you're one step closer to being certified pyromaniac.
Pyrotechnic, not pyromaniac.
I mean pyrotechnic. Sorry.
I don't know. I have legitimately thought about seeing what it would take to get a pyrotechnic license and then like going and getting big fireworks. Like that'd be really cool. But I mean, maybe in another life, or maybe that's if the YouTube thing dries up and all of a sudden I find myself looking for a change of career. Maybe I'll get into professional fireworks. Maybe that's the path I'm supposed to be on.
That'd be awesome.
I think what's funny is people who know me personally would be like, yeah, that's a great job. Like that fits. I've always loved with fire. That was why I learned to weld, is because it was just like the logical next step. It was like, I love playing with fire.
Makes sense.
And now I use fire to melt metal. So it's like, it's perfect.
No, it was great, man. Those fireworks were, and nobody complained. No neighbors complained. Well, that was a great thing, right? Like all around us, they're lighting off fireworks. Like my neighbors were. So everyone seemed to be doing it.
All right, so I talked about it a little bit last week. We've kind of been taking a break from YouTube, just kind of reevaluating what we're doing and where we're going. We seem to do this every summer. It gets hot and we're kind of stuck inside, through the prime time of the middle of the day, and we have a lot of time to sit and ponder and talk. And so we've kind of just been sitting and talking about it's just direction, really. So we're getting back on it. We've started filming again. We filmed a video yesterday and we filmed one today. And we're just getting back to it. In the meantime, the stuff that didn't make it to YouTube, I feel like everything I wrote down on my list for this week of everything I did, it's like just garden related, because that's just what time of year we're in. I first on the list, I am happy to report we harvested just under 10 pounds of yellow squash, which every year we've tried to grow yellow squash or zucchini. Those are the first to get annihilated by the squash bugs. And we actually got a decent harvest. And it's I swear it's because of discovering spinoside. Spraying that spinoside is killing the squash bugs. And I mean, it kills everything, but especially the squash bugs, which I take great joy in watching their little bodies just laying next to the plants, unable to destroy my plants. So, yeah, I got to harvest a whole bunch of yellow squash. It looks like we'll get to harvest a whole bunch more. The plants are showing signs of stress, but that could just be because it's been so blasted hot and dry. And I haven't really watered. I've watered just a couple times. But if the weather decides to cooperate and rain every couple days, we'll be fine. That's something that's weird about living out here. Back in California, unless you have a sprinkler system that runs 3 times a day, everything's going to die. At 115 degrees, good luck. May the odds be forever in your favor. You have to have a watering schedule. Out here, the first couple gardens we had, we're out on a schedule, watering everything. And finally, we look at each other and it's why are we worrying about this? There's rain falling out of the sky. So, yeah, we just kind of leave it up to the weather. Blackberries are in full swing here. I don't know. Do you guys have blackberries up there, Al?
We do.
Wild
but they're
ones?
not ripe. Yeah, they're not ripe yet, but they're getting close.
So ours are here on our property are pretty much done. These are the wild ones. Every year we pick tons of them, and for whatever reason this year we harvested a gallon, and that's it. They started, I don't know, midway through June. So I mean, it's 3 weeks they've been going on, and the whole 3 weeks we only picked about a gallon, which I'm kind of bummed about. I went out yesterday morning and grabbed a basket and was gonna fill up a basket, and the spot that I've been picking is they're done. You know, like usually you pick all the ripe ones, then there's a whole bunch of red ones that are almost ready, and everything's black. Everything's like beyond ripe. You go to pick them and they smell like berry vinegar and they're mushy. I was just like, oh, I guess the berries are done. I checked all of the various spots that we have around the property, and all of them are about the same progress. So that was kind of a bummer, but I mean, at least we saved something. We'll make some jams or something like that. On the note of berries, so I got to figure out the variety of, it's a blackberry. It's like a huge blackberry that we got from Stark. The label is somewhere in the middle of this bush, but I am not crawling down there in the middle of this bush to find the label. So I'll figure it out eventually. But they get these pink flowers when they bloom, and then they're so prolific, they produce hundreds of berries. So every cane, everywhere there's like a leaf node, you'll get a cluster of berries, and these berries get huge. Like I'm talking, like they're the size of, I don't know, maybe like a cherry. That's how big these things are. They're just huge. Well, the past 2 years we've been getting fruit off this particular variety. They're almost inedible. They're just disgusting. I was actually planning after this season, I was going to rip all these berries out and just throw them away. Well, this year they must have heard me talking, because the berries, they're the sweetest, most delicious berries I have ever eaten. I haven't changed anything. I haven't amended that bed or anything. All I did was just talk smack about them, and now they're delicious. So I don't know what changed. I don't know if it was the lack of water or whatever, but these things are coming on. They've been going on for about as long as the blackberries, the wild blackberries, and I've already harvested half a gallon. You know, they're just getting going. So whatever this cultivar is, it's doing great, and we're probably going to have like 3 or 4 gallons of these berries easy.
Wow.
So nice. Yeah. I'm since they're doing good, I'll leave them in. I might even dig up a couple canes. I'll bring you some, Jason. You can stick a couple of these canes in the ground and see how they do for you.
You'll have to make a note and be like, okay, it was a dry year, they were delicious, and all the wet years they tasted terrible. And then if next year, just to kind of see like if it's a dry year, if they're good, or if it's a wet year next year and you're like, oh, these things are terrible again.
I'll be curious, because I mean, it was unanimous. The kids wouldn't eat them. Okay, like Buggy wouldn't eat them. That's how bad they were. Like last year, she walked up, oh, berries. These are big berries. She picked one, popped it in her mouth, and said, "Pleh." She's like, those are yucky. So this year, I have to get out there before she does, because she'll pick the plant. Every single berry she can reach, she'll pick and eat. Anytime she goes out with me, if we're picking, she says we have an arrangement. I pick and she eats. So I have to guard my berry basket. Otherwise, she'll empty it for me.
Is that what happened to the wild blackberries? She's just been out there eating them all, so you didn't get much this year?
For real. I've said it before. If there's some days, I swear she only exists on fruit. You know, like there's always something. Sometimes I feel like we live in like the Garden of Eden or something like that. There's always something fruiting. If there's green on the trees, there's something fruiting. So, when the mulberries came on in the beginning of, I don't know, it was like halfway through May. Every day she's out there climbing the mulberry tree, eating mulberries. And then, after that, then it was strawberries. I mean, it's just one thing after another. Strawberries, blueberries. Now we're into blackberries and stone fruit. And it's just like, girl, do you need some protein? Because I'm kind of worried about you. All you've eaten today is berries and fruit. I mean, it's cool, though. What a way to live. Thinking about how I grew up versus how she's growing up. Imagine from birth, everything is edible and has a season. Like that's just how life is. Like that's kind of cool if you think about it. Probably change how you view the world.
Not chemical ridden. Like I wonder how her microbiome is compared to like mine or yours or a kid nowadays eating junk food or kind of thing.
We were talking about it. It's kind of weird to us, the way we grew up, standard American diet. Liliana has never tasted fast food. Like, it's a weird thought to me. Like, and it's not because we're withholding or anything. We just changed our diet. We feed ourselves our own food to, avoid the garbage that's everywhere and in everything. And, she has grown up on locally raised, raw, unprocessed, free range food. Like, what a way to live.
Yeah, it's wild to think about.
Speaking of other berries, tomatoes are coming on now. So, like, we harvested 32 pounds of tomatoes, which that marks the start of preserving season. So, what that means for us is we go pick tomatoes, we bring them inside. If there's any spots on them or if they're split or whatever, then we clean them up. And right now, we just bag them and freeze them. And then as soon as the season is over, or we don't have any room in the freezer because it's too many tomatoes, then we take them out of the freezer and start making sauces out of them. Sauces and tomato puree and you name it. Whatever we need, we make. So it's officially kicked off for us. Preserving season is upon us. It makes for long, hot days in the kitchen. I mean, it's long, hot days, period, but when the pressure canner's going in the kitchen, it's just like this loud, monotonous hissing in the kitchen. It really feels like summer. It's like, it's not summer until the pressure canner's hissing. That's about it for my week. Can you tell I'm a little... Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of a sore subject, Jason.
I was going to ask, but I'm like, he might not want to talk about it if it's not working.
Do you hear the air conditioning blowing on me while I'm recording this podcast? No, it's still broken. So probably what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to buy a new unit. I actually got a hold of a person at Pioneer. I've called them. I've been left on hold. I've been hung up on. Like, it's been a chore getting a hold of anybody. Well, I called first thing in the morning this morning and got a person. And I said, hey, man, here's my order number. It's been a month. You already charged my card. I haven't got a shipping confirmation. Like, what's the deal? And he looked it up and he's like, man, I'm sorry. Like, the the computer board to the unit is still on back order. And we were just going to ship everything all at once and yada, yada. I was like, okay. I ordered a motor for one unit and a brain box for the other unit. Send me the motor and then send me the brain box when it gets in. And I kind of stopped. I was like, hey, can I ask you something? I was like, is it coming on a boat? And he kind of changed his tone. He's like, yeah, it's coming on a boat. I was like, okay. So it's probably either stuck in a port somewhere or stuck on a boat somewhere. Yeah. So, I don't know. We were talking about it this morning. I may just buy a whole nother unit. I've got a friend who does HVAC, and he's got all of his own equipment. He could come over. He could drain the system for me, and then, I mean, he could install the new one for me, and he'd probably do it faster than I could. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. Not the right time of year to have an air conditioner go out at all, but we're doing all right. I mean, we kind of talked about it. We've talked about it a lot, actually. With both the other units that are in this house, we live in a tiny space. It'll keep it, 73 degrees in here in the heat of the day. I don't know about you, but 73 that's all right. I can deal with 73. That's actually what we set the thermostats to. So, I mean, it's between the two units on the either end of the house, we're just fine. We just have to keep all the doors open and maybe run a fan or two. So
what do you have for air conditioning, Jason? Do you guys have
central air and heat? Yeah.
Does everybody down there have air somehow in the house, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah. You kidding, in the South?
Oh, yeah. Central heating and air, usually.
Yep.
Or usually a chimney. But this house didn't have that. This house has just had window units. I don't know how they lived. I mean, this house was built in the 60s and never had AC, just window unit.
Yep. Didn't it have like a basement fireplace or something like that? And that was what heated the house?
Yeah, it wasn't there when we came, but at one point, yeah, there's a chimney here, and it did have some kind of wood stove down there or something. That was all piped in underneath.
I'd say it's the one big difference then from you guys. Like, we still get warm, but most people don't have. We have like 2 units for the bedrooms, just window units. So most people don't have whole house central air or anything like that. So
it's not like super hot in your house.
Oh, it is. It gets hot, but it's kind of one of those things like you don't use it all the time. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I just think a lot of people up here kind of like, nah, I don't know.
I mean,
just suffer through.
We just suffer through. Yeah, open the windows. Also, what I'll do in the morning is when I get up 4:30 in the morning, I'll open up all the doors and windows and get as cold as I can downstairs, and then just close all the windows up before we go out for chores, before the sun starts coming out. And then I think it was like 80 degrees in the kitchen.
What about like fans and stuff? Ceiling fans?
Yeah, we got ceiling fans. And then in the afternoon, I'll put the bedroom air conditioners on so it'll cool it off for bed.
I mean, you figure though, like how many months of hot that you guys get where it's like really hot?
Where it's like really bad, I'd say like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's not bad. You can suffer through.
It used to be 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Now it's
okay.
It's getting
worse.
Worse, but I'm sure at some point we'll probably put some mini splits in or something.
Yeah.
Install a brand name.
Man, I remember I used to have this back house I lived in by myself before we got married. And this house was like, it's just like a 1-bedroom back house in back of another bigger house. And I was living there by myself, and it had no AC. This was in California. It had no AC or nothing. And I remember just watching the walls sweat because it was so hot in there. I don't know how I lived there. I lived there for maybe like a couple of years, I think. And then when we moved to over here in North Carolina, and then we had our single wide mobile, there was a time, I don't know, I would say a good year where our AC did break and we had nothing. And I think we maybe got a window unit. And I remember in there, man, it was just so unbearable. That kind of stuff, it kind of, I don't know. It kind of like maybe trains you for the hotness.
Right.
But then when you get the AC, it's like, oh my gosh, like it's such a luxury,
Yep.
It's like, it's almost like a must.
Where I grew up in Mass, I'd say it was probably like your guys' climate, and we didn't have air conditioning growing up. My dad redid the attic for me and my brother, and we were teenagers at that point. And that was the only part of the house that had air conditioning, was the 3rd floor, because it got so hot up there you had to have something. But other than that, the rest of the house never had air conditioning. Now back in Mass, everybody has central air or mini splits. Growing up, yeah, we didn't have anything.
That sounds like my situation. It was we moved away from that house when I was 16. So I grew up a good portion, like 10 years, I think we lived in that house. Same thing. My dad, there was like I guess it's called a loft. They finished out a loft, and that was me and my brother's bedroom. Well, it was literally like, as far as like distance goes, it was the maximum farthest away distance from the air conditioner. And it was central AC. It gets hot in California where we're at, and this is like up in the attic kind of situation. It's a loft, right? Well, the AC didn't do anything. Well, my dad, they have these things. Not a lot of people have ever heard of a swamp cooler. Have you ever heard of a swamp cooler?
Yeah.
So they work really good when you're in a very warm, dry climate. Like, they work really good as long as it's dry. They have these pads on the outside. It's like a big square block. It's got louvered sides, and then a big squirrel cage blower in the middle. It's got these pads. It runs water over the pads. Air gets sucked through the wet pads, and then it blows moist, cool air in your ducts, in your vents. Well, it didn't matter. Being up in this attic, man, that room, we'd have those days where it's like 115, 110, and it would be like 98 degrees in our bedroom, and we're trying to sleep. You just sleep like a starfish with no blankets, just trying not to touch anything. It's just like, that's what I remember of those that living in that bedroom, was just like sleeping like a starfish.
That's the worst.
I will say the swamp cooler did work though. Like it was actually cool air coming out of the vent. You just had to be standing in front of it. And so me and my brother would take turns sticking our face in the little bitty vent that was blowing into our bedroom. Fun times, man. Fun times.
So let's see.
What you get into, Jason, this week?
Yeah, so it's been Tomato Mania here, and Potato Mania at the same time. So yeah, we're in full effect with the tomatoes growing. Lorraine's out there every morning picking some, like a basket full of tomatoes from in our high tunnel. But we finally harvested our potatoes, which the tops on them had died off, like seems like maybe a couple weeks ago. So we finally got around to harvest them. So we got 95 pounds of potatoes.
Whoa, that's a good harvest.
That was definitely our biggest harvest that we have ever had on potatoes. And they were all like, not all of them, but they were all pretty good, a good size. So we're pretty happy about that.
I would be. That's a good harvest.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So last year we grew them in our raised beds, and it wasn't great at all. Harvest wasn't. I can't even remember what it was, but it wasn't that great. I have to look at my previous videos to remind myself. You guys ever do that?
Yep. All the time.
That's the benefit of filming yourself. You know, you kind of like, I don't remember that. Let's go look back at a video. So yeah, last year was not good at all. But this year it was in ground. I brought in all that compost soil, and I mean, I don't know, it just worked. And then so we put all in our basement. Everything's in our basement hanging out.
When do you guys plant your potatoes?
It's a good question now.
Depends on what you want. You want early potatoes, you want fall potatoes. Depends on what you want.
I think we planted them a little late, because isn't typically you plant them around
St. Patrick's Day. Yep.
I think we planted them after that. Maybe it was like even a couple weeks after that. Maybe I don't know. I have to look at a video, but
around here you don't get potatoes till fall. It's like October when you're harvesting potatoes. Not
really?
Not July.
But when do you plant them?
May. Okay. Sometime.
Yeah.
So actually, for our fall potatoes, I need to stick all of my potatoes that we're going to grow in the ground right now. I actually should have done it. Them? Those will be ready. They'll be ready in October.
Okay. So for us, that'd be too late. Most likely to die of frost. So we got to do it sooner. So it's just funny because you guys are like, oh, we're getting our potatoes and we can do them again. It's like, nope, here we can do them once.
Wow.
Hey, man, when we were trying to figure out where we were moving to, and we went to Maine, and they're like, yeah, you got 90 days to grow. It was like, nope, not Maine.
Yeah.
We used to live there.
Made a U-turn.
Right. Go back south.
So I mentioned before on a podcast, I one of my hardest things I've done lately was write a article for a magazine. And so the magazine finally came out. I got to write a Homesteading Monthly magazine. So I don't know if anyone's...
Nice.
It's July issue.
So they do those in print and digital?
Yeah, I think they maybe just kind of started doing the print ones.
That's cool.
But that's cool. You could do both, I guess, digital or print.
I thought they were just digital, and I've never gotten the magazine because I don't.
Honestly,
when
I was writing this article, that's what I thought too. I was like, it's just gonna be in digital, and then like she's like, I'm gonna send you some. The lady the editor I was working with, and I was like, wow. She put me like a whole big old article thing in here, and I was like, I didn't know it was gonna be all.
That's cool.
All awesome. Like that. I just thought it was going to be like in digital, a little piece of thing, but
all of the audio people, audio only. He held up the magazine, and it's got like a picture of him feeding chickens, and like it's like a
there's
full
like
spread.
multiple pictures in there. So yeah. So I don't. Yeah, anyone's subscribed to that, or if you're not, head on over.
So Homesteading Monthly.
Yeah, Homesteading Monthly. They might have changed the name too, because I thought it was like Homesteading Life magazine, but this says Homesteading Monthly. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So that just came out, and then what else? Oh yeah, today I started drilling. I realized that drilling holes in the ground is a lot different in the summer than winter.
Yes, it is. So is putting T-posts in.
Yeah, just being outside in general is a lot different. I don't know what I'm thinking. This was on my list to do, and I was like, well, I might as well go out there and do it. But I started redoing my rain collection system down closer to our small barn, where I have one IBC tote. So I want to put 2 IBC totes, and I want to make more of a permanent base for them to save the water off of, rather than, because I just have them on bricks right now. But I want to put 2, and I want to put like a better looking base. So I'm drilling the posts, so I could I'll probably concrete the posts and then make a base for 2 IBC totes. So I started that today. I don't know when I'm going to finish that, or it's super hot out, so I'd like, how long is it take me? Like 2 days, but I have a feeling it's going to take me all week.
Ground's that hard?
It's pretty hard, actually. Yeah, I thought I would be, with that rain we had last night, I thought it would be fairly soft, but it's actually pretty hard.
It's going to take a lot more to get that ground soft.
Yeah. So plus it's hot, so I'm like, I don't know how long it's going to take me. So I don't know, but it's like I just got to go out there and do it, because I was trying to think, what else am I going to do? We talked about doing inside house stuff, or redoing our kitchen, but we need to still buy some stuff for that. So I think we're going to try to tackle that maybe in a few weeks. I don't know if that's like a can of worms. You just you start taking stuff apart, and then next thing you know, you got to do this other thing because you got to fix this, and then there's a hole in there, and
then you're building a whole new house.
Yeah.
If you give a mouse a cookie. Yep.
Yeah, you got to do flooring. You got to rip up the cabinets, and then you got to do flooring, and then you got to paint, and then, oh, wait, do I got to put recessed lighting? Should we put recessed lighting?
Yep.
Stuff like that. So, I don't know. We want to do it, and I feel like since it's really hot right now, it probably would be nicer to do it inside, but we still need the stuff, so that might be a few weeks away. In the meantime, I'm going to be outside doing stuff. But we lost I believe one of our newer chickens this week to a hawk.
Wow.
I went outside and I saw 2 hawks fly from where our egg layers were, and they were flying away. And I was like, So I went out there, and I believe it was one chicken. It looked like 2, but I believe it was just one that was half eaten. Mm-hmm. So it hadn't really happened before on this property, at least. I don't think that happened at all.
Yeah. We've never lost anything to hawks, as far as I know. They're around, but the crows keep them chased off. What color was the chicken, by the way?
What's that?
What color was the chicken, by the way?
I think it was brown. It was one of our smaller chickens. It was a newer chicken, but it was one of the smaller breeds. The rest of them were all in the coop.
I bet. They're hiding.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we usually have hawks too, and that be flying them around. But and I guess I didn't stop to notice. But when I saw that hawk, I looked around. I didn't see any crows.
We lost 1 or 2, or maybe more one year, to a juvenile hawk. and he kept coming back. And then I guess it was like a season for the juvenile hawks, and then he took off, migrated, and we'd never had an issue. But yeah, there's a cool red-tailed hawk. We'd watch them. It's kind of like, what do? You can't do nothing. They are cool animals, but it's like, oh, that's my chicken. I guess I'll let you finish eating it. You already killed it.
I know.
And I'm going to make someone mad saying this, but that's the 3 S's: shoot, shovel, and shush. Not really. I like the hawks. I like the hawks and all that stuff. We've never really had any problem with them. But there's been a few people I've talked to, and they're like, just shoot them. Nobody has to know. If they don't have a collar, nobody will ever know. It's like, yeah, well, they ain't bothering my chickens, so they can live here.
Yeah, I never had a problem with them either. I mean, they just get one, okay. But yeah, if they're like keep on every day or something like that, or even once a week, then that's a problem. But these chickens haven't laid eggs yet. So I guess that's, if you're going to get a chicken, now's the time to get one.
Right.
We haven't put that much money into them.
Right. If they just started laying, you'd be like, ooh, that hurts.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, everyone else is doing good as far as our animals. No losses yet. So I think that's about it.
So the name of the website is Homestead Living, and then it's Homestead Monthly is the magazine they sell.
Oh, okay.
And it's $29 for the year. So that's not bad for the print
That's
one.
not bad at all.
And I guess it's monthly, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Do you guys have rain coming in the forecast, or is it going to be hot and dry again for a while for you?
This is off and on.
Supposedly it's like a chance of rain every day for the next 2 weeks. We had 50% chance this morning, and then by noon it was, no chance. So I don't know. This is the kind of weather that they call, you get intermittent thunderstorms. You get these intermittent thunderstorms that just pop up out of nowhere, and it's just the luck of the draw if one's going to hit you or if it's going to hit the next town over.
Right. So we got a 95% chance of 1.68 inches of rain on Wednesday.
Jeez.
So
Man,
luckily,
some of that.
Luckily, we're selling coffee this week, so that's the day we'll be packing coffee. We'll be inside.
That's nice.
Hey, it looks like there might be the hurricane barrel is headed towards you. Is that true?
News to me, but we don't listen to the news or nothing. So a lot of the times we find out as it's happening or afterwards.
Look it up. Hey.
Yep. If our phone's going off or something. That's the only downfall with not listening to mainstream. I don't want the news or something like that all the time. We don't have it. We just have Starlink, and
we don't watch the news either. About the closest thing to a Weather Channel news guy is Ryan Hall on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff. Yeah, he's fun.
He's fun. He's a decent weather guy. He's been pretty accurate. Just saying. I've been pretty happy with him. I found him about 2 years ago, and it's man, this dude's he's easy to digest. He explains stuff well, and he's just using the National Weather Service data anyways, and just kind of putting his spin on it. So yeah, it looks like Hurricane Beryl is it comes up into Texas and then just hangs kind of like a U-turn and then just goes up towards Michigan and up towards you. So you might get some of it.
Yep. We're usually sheltered by the mountain, so we'll get some stuff, but usually it's not terrible. The mountains break
same here.
Yep.
Usually mountains kind of break things up.
Yep. We have the Connecticut River, so not far. So sometimes it'll go up the Connecticut River and and that's when it'll cause havoc. It's got the valley of the river to just kind of go off of.
Well, all right, guys. I think that's it, huh? All right. So I appreciate everyone listening and watching this podcast. And if you have not, share the podcast and tell your friends. And we'll hope everyone has an awesome week. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
Later, everybody.